Press the bell icon and never miss an update from ET Auto.
Hello and welcome to ET Auto Big Bite. Volvo Cars has been seeing heavy growth since the Chinese masters took over. And I have here with me Mr. Richard Snijders to talk about how the plan pans out for the company in Asia Pacific market. Richard is head of Asia Pacific region. He is vice president at Volvo Cars. Welcome to ET Auto.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So as I mentioned, there has been a spike in sales for Volvo Cars since Geely took over. How do you see this transition, or how do you look at the acquisition? What has really helped grow so faster?
With the ownership of Geely, I think we've become really, well, first of all, very focused again, you know, and it has been an ownership, it's been a dream ownership because they didn't interfere, they really let us develop a new plan and we are executing on it. And that has led to especially the last couple of years, we have launched the best product ever in our history. But beside that, there's also a huge industrial investment going on with building factories in China, with building a factory now in the US, and also setting up now a factory here in India. So the journey has been extremely exciting. And
so generally there is a perception when takeover of these kinds happens, when there is strong difference in terms of culture, working style. As an executive, how do you see it? What are the important points that, you know, a person who is going to acquire a company or entering into a new cultural area or new market area to be taken care of? Like you mentioned one that, you know, they didn't interfere. What are the other aspects that one should look into?
Yeah, I think the ownership, first of all, they've been very hands-off and not interfering with the business. And actually they've only motivated us to do more. Whereas maybe in the previous ownership we were almost motivated to do less. And as a result we've done more and more, we've become very confident, and we had to do something because when we came out of the Ford ownership we were basically empty. So we had to really completely restart. And yeah, so that was for me the most remarkable thing. We are truly, I feel now, truly independent almost. And,
China has been one of the biggest markets. How do you, so how do you see the overall Asia's performance and contribution to Volvo Cars' global agenda and where India fits into it?
Yeah, no, well, of course China was the first, and we call it as our second home market. So that was really for us the opportunity to enter that market, and we've done so. Now I would say we have completed a big part of that journey. We've built our factories, we built the infrastructure, and now of course we need to start looking at outside China. And then it is very obvious that India is one of the markets where we expect a lot from to happen. And if you look back in time, you could say that India is now on the same kind of level where China was in 2004. So we're on that same growth curve. And that's what I'm telling very much the people now in Sweden, because the openness now is really appearing now in Sweden for what's happening in Asia. I have to be honest, before we were very European and US focused. But due to the ownership, we've become very China and now Asia focused. So India is key in that development.
Do you think that Volvo has been in India for quite some time now, but we have not seen much of progress when it comes to volume, obviously? Where did it miss? How do you see your past, you know, and what are the corrections you think is required to be made in due course of time?
I think it is very explainable. I think, as I said, coming out of the Ford ownership, we were basically empty, and that we really focused on getting our act together in China. That journey is almost complete. So now we need to start looking at other parts. But we are a very small car company, so we have to make some tough decisions sometimes. We take decisions in terms of going electrification. We've made a decision going for 4-cylinder engines. But now, with the product program being really in good shape, now the industrial system to be in good shape, now is the time to start looking at the rest of Asia. And
it's very interesting to note that you are saying that now, previously before Geely took over, the focus was much of Western market, Europe, US and all. Is it only because of the ownership change, or do you see really some greater potential market in Asia that has made you shift to a focus towards Asian market?
Yeah, that's difficult to say whether that's because of ownership or that's where the globe is trending towards. You know, India is now a force. China and India are now forces which are now really establishing themselves. That wasn't the case 10 or 20 years ago. So I think it's part of business. But I think we now have a big piece of our operation here, and that's what we didn't have. So the Swedes are now a lot on the plane to this part of the world, and so it's becoming a much more an area where we work.
What is the rightful place for Volvo in India? Your volumes are still very low. So what are your plans? How do you want to catch up? And do you have volume aspirations in India? If so, how much is the rightful volume that you expect?
I think, you know, clearly that we still have to develop. And as I said, if India is where China was in 2004, then there's there shouldn't be any reason why India cannot become as big as China. So I think in that respect, we have a long way to go. For us, we are at a key point. I think we, as you mentioned before, we decided 7 years not to enter with full CKD and really put up full-fledged production. We now are going fully after electric, and as I mentioned before, the Indians are talking a lot about electrification. So we want to skip the ICE investment and maybe go straight to electrification.
So what kind of investment plans you have for India? I saw you announced the same on this stage also, that you are going to have some investment plan. What are those? Can you give us some details on that?
No, I cannot share because it's too early to say so. I think we've just only launched the CKD factory in Bangalore, and I think we now need to get some. I need to start conveying some confidence in the head office that we now need to go and develop the next step.
So will be the same plant, same place in Bangalore only for electrification?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I think we're very happy with the setup at the moment.
So was this? Can I say that was this a deliberate decision that you go slow on localization in India because you wanted to direct invest in electrification or new energy? Plug-in hybrid technologies rather than the existing ICE engine?
I think that is more a result of where we are today, that we say we should skip this going for ICE engines but really go for electrification. That we believe is the opportunity and it fits with our global strategies.
When do we see locally assembled electric vehicle or plug-in hybrid coming out?
No, I think that plug-in hybrid could go faster. Because that technology we have today, and that could be between now and 18 months. Full electric will take probably another.
For India, you're talking about 18 months. You'll be able to roll out. Is there a concrete plan for that?
No, we are developing that as we speak. So,
but will take 18 months to.
I think so. Yeah. It could be even quicker.
We'll see a Volvo car on road.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be even faster, but because I think as soon as we take the decision, we usually can execute between 6 and 12 months. So, and I think we could take it probably quicker than even 18 months. But 18 months, I think, is today our thinking. Then electric will take probably another 12 months after that, if not a little bit more to 18 months.
There was an announcement that Volvo in some years will roll out only plug-in or the electric
Everything
vehicles. Then what happens to your ICE engine? What's the plan for that?
Yeah, we expect them to be phased out gradually, not within the next 5 years, not within the next 10 years, but I think all our cars will be either ICE engine with some kind of electrification. But
going forward of your total sales volume in Asia, what kind of contribution do you expect from plug-in and electric and new energy vehicles versus ICE engine in the long term?
Yeah, in the long term it should be around 50%. Yeah.
Long term means how much time?
That's between now and 2025. Yeah.
25. And India, how do you see?
India could potentially be bigger, but it depends a bit on legislation and taxation, because at this moment electrification has, unfortunately, same taxation as any other engine, and therefore it cannot pay for the technology.
What are the 2-3 things that you look at Indian legislation that is pushing the manufacturers behind in going full throttle in electrification and plug-in hybrid?
Taxation, that's taxation.
Taxation is the only reason. Because a lot of talk happening on availability of infrastructure. How big challenge is that?
I think it obviously is a challenge, but I've seen in my previous role that infrastructure will come if the cars come. It's a self-fulfilling solution, I think. If you get into electrics, especially into electrics, you will need infrastructure, and then infrastructure will happen.
So can we say that in the next 2 years, after 2 years, or by 2020, will Volvo India roll out only plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles?
I wouldn't say only, but the plug-ins will be, I expect to be
the new launches I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Every car from now on, even the current cars, we will go plug-in hybrid. And then electric will be around 2020.
So when do you expect to phase out all ICE and have plug-in?
Yeah, we're not going to phase out all ICE. We're going to go, ICE only, that I would say 2025. Okay. But I cannot give you an exact year on it. That we will continue, we've announced that we'll pull out of diesel. So our whole R&D budget will go to petrol, and petrol with electrification or electric only.
What kind of volume do you expect in India going forward? What kind of market share
I think our medium objective is to go to 5,000 units, then a bit longer term should be probably another 10,000.
Okay. 5,000 in 2020?
Yeah, I think that's about
2020.
right. Yeah.
And in globally, where do you see India's place for Volvo? Do you expect India to be in top 5 markets?
Oh, absolutely. Eventually, yes. Yeah, but then we're probably talking about 10 to 15 years from now, I think.
Thank you, Richard, for being so candid and answering all the questions.
All right, thank you very much. Good meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching ET Auto Big Bye.